from them as a roster. So that's why I'm a little concerned. Even though LG picks up the pistol, I'm looking at their success on this map, and it's not really all that great. That's why I was surprised to see them pick it instead of letting it get to that third map. That's what makes me worried. I now am in a position where I feel like this could really be a 2-0 for Immortals, but they're going to have to kick things off, and this could be a big round for them as well, as they're coming into what is going to be LG with SMGs, and they're getting aggressive as a result. Oh, the timing almost worked against Moose, but you can see them just cleaning up. It's down to just 2 already here as LG storms out onto the B site.
It seems as though the playbooks are so similar for both of these teams. Right now, though, Chemical's on his rotation is going to be the last one standing. Very low HP. Should be mopped up right now by Stellar to confirm that kill to make it 2-0. But at the beginning of the round, you saw it again. It is going to be Moose throwing that recon dart into the showers, trying to see if there's going to be any pressure moving forward. It got shot down right away, so they knew pressure was happening towards that side. Meanwhile, on the other end, genghsta threw a recon dart from the B side over towards Teleporter on the A side, which now for Immortals, as it wasn't shot down, they had an idea that eventually a hit was going to come towards B. The thing is, though, for jcstani, he pushed forward with Nature, if I'm not mistaken, from the shower side, just to try to gain that control. But when you're going to be on a full eco, you're trying to fight back against a bulldog of Moose, not easy to win. Well, this round, it is going to be pressure towards showers once again, but this time we will have bodies to try to fight back and forth.
Looks like LG is going to be grouping up outside the showers, and just like that, jcstani finds 2. Nature is there with the backup as well. The Sentinel main and IGL for Immortals backs up his compadre and cuts LG down to just 2 remaining players. Nature is still in position in the showers and almost has the timing right. That's a 1-2 punch. 3 on the round for Nature. It's a full house as well for Nature and jcstani in the showers. And that's the response round you want to see if you're an Immortals fan. That is about as good as you could get. The only hope is that maybe jcstani survives. An incredible response after losing the first 2.
Yep. With a bonus round that you saw here from Luminosity Gaming, they just wanted that close quarter combat too with the utilities that was spent towards that showers, but they couldn't get past that doorway. That Dark Harbor was big. As soon as it dissipated, still had a lot of good utility being utilized here by Immortals to take over that area with the rifles versus the SMG that LG had. So, unfortunately, can't capitalize on 3 in a row. We're going to have this full gun round into this round, as now the dart has been broken. We also have an owl drone to come out too, and we also have a blaze wall that we were heard that Thief threw towards the sands, which means now there is pressure towards this B side. Nobody from Immortals is rotating, they're staying towards this B side. But jcstani instead is like, well, if that's going to happen towards the B side, I'm going to push showers myself. Gets a nice tap, it's a 5 versus 4, and because of that, LG has to react quick. They're storming right into the A side where short is given away. jcstani rotating back from the showers, a crossfire as well from the triple box. Big paranoia, but does not hit anybody, so Nature is looking good.
Yeah, Nature's still in position, has to watch out for that recon. Dark does get around default box in time. 2 kills for Nature as the team starts to arrive for help. Shot-up's ult was canceled, but it's still down to just 1. It's Thief. That's a scary target on the other side. Nice curveball coming around the bend. There's another one as well, a follow-up. Turn back from Thief, still blind just a bit, and Shot-up will win the duel. 2-2, we're all tied up. I like what LG did there. They knew that jcstani is playing aggressively in showers, so the assumption is that there's going to be a weakness on short, because you're going to pull that player from short away when you've got that much shower control. You can play back quite a bit. Play back towards spawn a bit more, even maybe play heaven. So with that in mind, they try to force their way up short, and they do get in. They get the kill on jcstani initially, taking out the shower threat and eliminating any threat really on the front side of site, but the support was there so fast from IMT. That's what made it so difficult for them.
Yeah, and that's the thing. If you lose a player early into showers, you're trying to hit A. If you don't have another player on the attack trying to fight back towards showers, that spot from jcstani is so difficult. And look at him. He's actually playing from showers before, this time playing towards U-Haul. He's going to be all over the place towards his A side. Well, you have this mixed by a nice shot through the smoke from your boy Dre, but he's down to 5 HP. Big trap wire is going to catch 1 like a fly in the web, and Nature is going to drop 2, leaving now your boy Dre and a Proto, the last 2 to go. Trying to get this spike plant would be huge for them, but gets denied by paint shells off now the spike plant. So Proto picking up the Vandal is going to try to win a 4 versus 1, at least trying to get some ground. But it is, again, going to be stopped by Nature. And just to end that little dot on the eye here, Bach, if you're not going to try to take control of the showers on his hit towards his A side, when you do have the rifles on your end, yes, if you kill jcstani or whoever's playing towards showers, like nature, sorry, for example, they can basically omit maybe a player playing towards triple, where the trades are still going to come in successful for the defenders. So really, you have to try to get that, to try to work as a team towards that A site, on a split at least, on bind.
You know, when we talked about it coming into this series, Nature wasn't exactly a player that we were going to profile heavily. You know, you're really looking at shot up most specifically, especially after almost dropping 40 against XSET earlier in this event. But Nature's off to a fantastic start, and part of it is LG's insistence on playing towards showers. They're having a hard time dealing with his position. The rocket comes out, but no! I believe chat would call that a Rosa ult. Sorry, subroza. That's what they say. I gotta go with chat here. The rocket lands, but it's a little too far away, so it doesn't deal enough damage to take down the target, and as a result, we find ourselves in a 4-on-4, and Nature eventually does go down, but still, they've lost sight control. Thief is just going to charge in with run it back, had the dart in his belly, doesn't care, runs right into the raise. Now, jcstani is still holding this line. We've seen him hit some crack angle shots like that before. Doesn't hit the one on the target in showers, but does end up responding with some fire towards Thief. And I like the port to get out of dodge.
Yep. Now
he's
he's
low
safe.
HP, gotta change positions.
They did a couple of trades for the showers mark, and at this time, he, like you said, for him teleporting back from the shadows down towards pipe, he's also faster on a rotate to help their Phoenix towards this A side. So this is going to be big for them right now. Your boy Dre is going to try to get something done here, as they're going to probably let them into the site and try to see if they can get a plant in. But I like his initial holds here for jcstani towards showers.
Oh my goodness, the position works out so nicely for jcstani, who's gonna find 4. He gets that opening kill on the A site, holding from showers towards short, then ports out towards vents to get out of the site because he's low on HP. Ends up going into cubby on the B site. The dart comes in deep. It's an odd angle too, if you notice. So he pushes back just a bit to dodge what's coming. There's a flash that comes out and makes it harder for Stellar to see anything. And then he's just feeling confident at that point, knowing that Moose has taken a fight with one of his teammates. He wants all the glory. A nice 4K for jcstani to shut down the push. It's been all Immortals since those first 2 rounds.
Yeah, my apologies. I meant Phoenix there towards that defender side at elbow when you had LG trying to push into the site. But like you said here, Bach, there's 2 players right now that are shining. And speaking about shot up before, he's going to try to get into the board too, because he's like, hey, everybody's taking all the action. I want some too. He gets a triple of his own. And the 2 players I wanted to mention, one of them just got into the board here. That's jcstani all over this map right now. The other one for me is going to have to be Nature for sure. And LG so far doesn't seem to have a response to this, as Stellar is trying to get a few to try to do some econ damage, but in the end, it's a flawless. That money now for Immortals on the defender side continues to build up. Look at them. They're already at 3 players before this buy. We're at 9K. Sitting very healthy right now. And they're also very close to Chemicals' showstopper on the top of shot ups, run it back. So LG, I don't know what they could do right now. It seems as though maybe that short A pressure works out for them to get into sight. But how do you stop right now the shower side? I think you have to deplete a little bit more utilities for both sides, actually, on that showers control.
Right now, the problem if you're LG, what do you do?
That's it.
Like when Immortals is taking the fight straight to you, they're not even letting you play your game. Like in that last round, Shot Up just charges down mid, just feeling super confident. They're taking aggressive control of showers. They're literally running at you. It's like pug-style defense. Just hold W and charge towards your opponent. And when you've got a bunch of young aimers and gamers, it's not really too much of a surprise that it's working out so well. Jump peaks coming in from the backside of the bin. You can see the ult being popped as well as Gangsta's going to get 2. There's a responding ult coming in from Moose, who's trying to line it up and will actually take down Genghsta. So there is vengeance for Moose, but realistically speaking, Gangsta's ult was just a little bit more powerful, taking out 2 players. Not something we see a whole lot with the Sova ult.
Yeah. It's actually pretty hard to hit those 2, right? The elevation's different from the elbow side into hookah. So for the defenders of Immortals, Genghsta still hitting 2 there into hookah is still very good. Yes, he died, but at least they have a 1-man advantage here for the Immortals as they make that 2. Chemical's going to drop her Protoss, trying to go for that body peek towards Octagon and to run it back, trying to clear out the side, but it's Stellar going to work as well. Now as he comes back from the run it back, Stellar drops Shot Up. So it's even up on a 2 versus 2. They have tuna control. Nature's already rotated from the spawn side, but they also have a crossfire set up from jcstani, who gets headshotted by Stellar as well. So that's a triple for him. He's taking the round onto his back for LG, but now after the trade, Moose avenges Stellar and finally stops the bleeding for Luminosity as well.
Kind of. Yeah, sure, they win the round, but it's a destructive round.
Yes.
It comes down to one player. And we've already talked about Immortals' money over the last several rounds. I love this awareness from Stellar to gun down Shut Up through the bin.
Yep.
A turnaround kill onto jcstani as well. So yeah, sure, they win that round, but look at the money on the other side compared to their own. The credits that have been stored up for IMT as they've won these rounds somewhat easily at times. Whereas on the flip side, LG comes down to that one last player. And now they're buying back down to Broke in order to support the buy that has to come in. Chemicals playing as Rays here with the op over on Long B. High flash coming out from Thief, but no one's around the corner. Playing back a little bit more passively in the site. There's a lot of presence currently towards that B site from LG, but there's equally as much presence on A from IMT, and if they get aggressive, they might be able to spot this out, but there's the portal play coming through as they toss that paranoia out. Shot Up is there with the backup. Blaze Wall coming down as well. They've now isolated this player inside Hookah, who has to fight for his life. It's Thief trying to hit the shots as Phoenix. There's an ult coming out as well. The rocket's going to come in. It's a little bit of a waste as Genghsta delivers. And now they're going to head back to A. They're realizing, okay, with that portal play, there's got to be low resources on A, and there is. It's one player and one player only. It's Nature who's waiting to pounce.
And he hears the noises of people jumping through the cages. They're trying to jump and try to find the trap wires too. And now Nature has had the upper hand, but is down to 4 HP. Stella just around trying to get the spike plant. It's a fake burst. He tries to go for the second kill, but he gets traded right away. So it's a 2 versus 1, and there you go. There's that big surprise that I didn't know yet from Immortals. Until they finally droned out Chemicals at Long B, it is an operator in the hands of Immortals on the defender side. So that means that they keep LG guessing. The pushes towards the showers before from jcstani and from Nature on that second round. You had the fourth round, jcstani pushed him by himself on showers and got the capitalization on the kill. And now the Hunter's Fury into the showers, and now they have an operator in their hand. So you really don't have any type of real reads for LG versus Immortals right now. And Immortals are doing a great job just changing things up every single round.
Now this is something we talked about when we casted the grand finals of the Nerd Street Gamers Winter Championship. LG doesn't really seem to have a really strong operator player. You know, they're mostly rifles. And I'm not going to say that, you know, IMT really has like a crazy good op player, but I'd say that they've got a little bit more prowess towards that with Chemicals.
Yep.
So it's going to be difficult for them if that becomes a recurring trend or theme. Now Nature, oh, I like this. It's a little scary, but getting away from the nade and going close just in case they decide to push through. The blast pack does minimal damage at this distance. You can see it really only does about 10 damage between both packs. It does take down some of that armor, but in the meantime, look at Thief. Thief has snuck up short. They have no idea that Thief has done this, and if Thief can get into the backside of spawn and potentially find some kills on these players rotating in, that could be huge. But look, they got to be aware of this. Yeah, there's the clear.
Chemicals has posted on that the whole time, so they seeing that they're pushing towards showers. The weakness was going to be towards short A. They still read it perfectly here on their rotation for Immortals, and jcstani just lines up 3 into the showers. Easy one, as they were just trying to take that control. So one more to go. It's going to be a Proto, unfortunately dropping to what should have been a little bit worked on in the past few patches, but it still seems to look easy for Shut Up.
And we'll take a look at this again here in the replay. jcstani just holding it down, making it look easy, finding 3, and then there's the flying classic. I'm sure A-Proto's like, man, seriously? Come on now. But we do have a 7-3 round score coming into the tail end of this first half. jcstani 12-7, 11-7 for Nature, 10-3 for Shut Up. Strong performances from all 3. They've got 2 ults available as well. They've got From the Shadows. They've also got Neural Theft. Neural Theft on the other side from the Shadows as well, but that's the one that matters most. Run It Back being popped by Thief, who's going to lead in first, and that Paranoia basically eliminates the threat of the ult. There's an Owl drone as well that you can see in the X-ray that was coming through the portal, and then a follow-up from their Sova as well. So Genghsta's actually gone through port. They've got them effectively trapped right now. He has to pounce. He needs his teammates to do a little bit more, though Genghsta still survives, but at what cost? 10 HP and losing his teammates in sight. Still seems to be working out a little bit here for IMT as the neural theft is popped. Genghsta's trying to find safety. A spike has been scooped up by LG, but there's only 2 remaining members. And they're going to be moving towards the B site.
The pinch is so good, and at the same time, that's the second time that they were able to cancel out LG's run it back, trying to get some control. The first time being tagged by the Owl Drone, the second time with the Paranoia to stop it. So very good here for Immortals to control Thief right now and trying to gain that map control. But now it's going to be shahzam already rotated towards Elbow again. They're dropping out. He hears them dropping into the sands, but he does not capitalize on that win versus Moose. Camera's still up, though, so they know the plan is coming for sure. Moose is trying to make his way towards the Elbow, and even Genghsta. It's from one portal to another, and he goes with the Hunter's Fury. It does tag for a bit, but it's still a 2 versus 2, and Chemicals from the spawn side, a proto to fall. But you still have the last player to go. Moose, he does have the Hunter's Fury as well. That's why he's playing so far back here towards the B side. But as they clear out, the recon dart, trying to look at the site. The kill is going to happen for Genghsta, and still very doable for Moose now. It is going to be a 4th kill, looking for an ace, a tap, but Chemicals does have the op. He's going to try to maybe push forward here as you're canceling actually on to the second shot. The recon dart, the op, and it's going to be Chemical that wins that 1 versus 1 in the end. Moose a little bit impatient into that 1 versus 1, thinking that Chemicals was sticking it, and it's going to be an 8th round for Immortals as they're dominating still this first half.
See, I have to disagree. I don't feel like that is impatient. I feel like spike placement really was damning there for LG. The fact that it's inside the container makes it really difficult for him to do much of anything. So he pops the ult, sends 1 pulse out, and then instead of using the rest of it, just cancels, throws out the recon dart, and tries to push in closer, thinking he could be inside defusing, and if he is, get a better angle potentially to try to spam him, because the spike is actually planted back behind the boxes where it would be quite difficult to spam through. It's too thick.
Yeah.
And to be fair, too, Moose also got a 4K on that round. They wouldn't even have been in that situation if it weren't for him. He has to fight for the ace clutch just to give them a chance.
Correct.
Illustration, again, that LG is just struggling on this map. A concern that we had coming into it, as their recent record it's not really all that solid. It's about 50%, but when you compare that to IMT, who's won every single bind game they've played in this tournament, it's a little bit concerning that they would decide to make this the #1 map in the series.
You see how difficult it could be right now. The boom bot, unfortunately, to kill your boy Dre. Chemicals to the close range onto Stellar. And now they're running back to try to get information to the curveball outside the smoke. And a Proto finally tries to get a kill or capitalizes on a kill on the jcstani, but you saw it right there. And underline how dominant it was for IMT on the defender side, because that last round you saw that they had 2 operators. They were okay buying an op, and then if the shot was missed there by Genghsta, a Vandal was on the ground. So that's a good way to play that last round, to make sure that you have all the angles covered, playing that long range and putting it to your side. So Immortals sealing that deal into the first half, taking a lead 9-3. As this round, though, it's a back and forth for them to rush out for the Immortals towards short A, with a couple of frenzies, of course, the curveball from Thief, but it's still going to be the paint shells for the kill.
Yeah, that curveball goes out, but the shots just aren't where they need to be. Your boy Dre somehow has ample time with the frenzy before being taken out. A Proto surviving as well, and now it's all down to Nature from distance with a frenzy. And there's targets waiting on the other side. Nice dink shot as the peek comes through. And we'll scoop back around and try to grab that spike. Both players in the A site, there's an opportunity to get a plant elsewhere if he can get up and get this spike in time. You can see them in a position that could potentially shut that down. But again, remember that damage that was dealt. All of a sudden, that dink shot that came through was huge, and there's Nature again. Moose, that's the right play. You gotta peek there, understanding that he could take Portal and force a fight over on the B site with spike down. But it just doesn't work. Nature was too ready.
What I was a little bit baffled about was the fact that there was one person watching showers out in the open from short A. And the second player was still behind APC. Look at this kill. So Stellar was still looking at the showers. Moose was, it feels like he was trying to watch that with him, unless he was slowly rotating back towards you so he could watch short. So Nature is saying, look, for this 2 versus 1, I'm just going to keep holding that W key and sprint around the map and just try to isolate those 1 versus 1, and he played that perfectly. I was going to say that this map might not be over yet, because you have somebody like a Proto that was able to land such crisp shots on the A side, but now gets fully denied for them to win that pistol from that clutch from Nature.
Oh, a Proto also had that ridiculous one-tap clutch yesterday in the 2v1. It was a 4K on the round, if I'm not mistaken. Just absurd stuff. Last bullet in the magazine didn't even matter. Chemicals from distance with an SMG. There's jcstani as well. It's looking like a pistol round and a follow-up here for IMT as they're going to drive towards 11 rounds compared to just 3. We talked about this map coming into it, that it was not exactly a stellar, no pun intended, map for LG. Now the spike's being planted, a Proto's the last one alive. Could be able to do a little bit of damage here with the Sheriff. We've seen him do that before, but with the leaping targets yet again, he's experiencing the same thing he experienced in the first half where this happened to him, and it's going to potentially happen again. He's just trying to get away to prevent it from being reality.
I just love it. Every single time, just shot up, just dancing around, jumping and hopping. And you saw it was like basically a train chasing after him from the spawn side over to U-shaped hallway, and that camera was going to spot all of that. But unfortunately, they were too quick. A Proto couldn't get his crosshair placement, and it's now going to be 11-3. And you saw it. From the investment that LG had, only 2 players went with Sherry's. That's your boy Dre and a Proto. Everybody else went with a full save because they just want to try to take this round with as many rifles as they can, going against the bonus round of IMT. That means they might have a chance to string up maybe 1 or 2 rounds, and that's where maybe onto the next round will be the most important one of the game right now for LG in this first map.
Cage triggered.
Your boy Dre spots him out inside hookah, has to watch out for the nade that's detonating on top of him. Dropped down to 70 HP from that. Now Chemicals is trying to escape it. The head down slide does work. It's almost like you can imagine dodging them in real life, looking down away from his monitor as he tries to escape the gunfire coming in that direction. They're going to be moving fast towards A, where you've got a Proto getting some backup currently from their Phoenix, but back through the port goes one. Not sure what that's going to do to this team's defense. You've got the Cypher going all the way around on the play. You're watching the defense, though, fall here, as again, this is not exactly a great buy coming out from IMT. This is a bonus round with SMGs mostly deployed, and they've got a 4-on-3 advantage and an opportunity to upgrade as well. Not exactly the level of resistance you'd hope to see from LG. And it's down to just 1 remaining. It's Moose who's by himself with the Vandal and realizing the gun is exactly too valuable in hand.
And I'm interested to see in that replay what really happened from that teleporter sound, because I was trying to pay attention to what was happening from a Proto's point of view. Because when you look back at the minimap, and let's talk about it a bit. Let's see if he can save his weapon. No, it's not going to happen. So map point here for Immortals. But just to get back onto that point, when you look at that minimap, as Immortals took over this A side, I didn't see anybody from IMT go back from Sands all the way to short. So I don't know if they threw utility instead to try to force out the angle from a Proto, and the trades happened so perfectly into that short side as well for just them to... Okay, so they did have one. So it was Cypher that went through from Immortals right through the teleporter, try to bait it out. Try to be that lurker at the same time too, potentially on a pulse plant if needed. But for the rest, from that teleporter sound, it forced LG out of their positions where the angles watched and they were backstabbed on a different angles. More specifically from showers and then after from heaven sign. So well done here for Immortals. Really dominating this first half, as we've mentioned before. And LG, they still don't have an answer to this first map.
You know, this roster is reminding me of the old Immortals roster with Dicey and Asuna when they were also incredibly good on Bind. It feels like that trend has continued regardless of who's playing in the 5-man squad. They always had a strong dynamic on this map, and if anything, it feels almost stronger right now with the way that they're playing. Incredible stuff from IMT. And it looks like this round isn't starting off any better for LG as Stellar is executed by Chemicals from range. There's a shot coming in from Nature as well. The Hunter's Fury being used as well as a showstopper. And this is pretty much all but done. The 3 remaining players stuck in spawn, having to fight back towards some players who are already waiting for them. Chemicals is spraying away, and everyone wants the kills. They are so bloodthirsty. They're charging in. Shutup's going to get a jumping classic at the end. A nice little exclamation point to end off the first game of the series. 13-3 in favor of Immortals. Maybe a little bit more one-sided than even I thought we'd get.
Yeah, and as you were mentioning, Asuna and his traps into the B site, when they have like a huge push coming in for Immortals, he has really great one-way cages that just holds back from the back of the site, plays it from the boathouse, and spots the feet and tries to spray through. But this round, though, the action's happening towards A side instead, with Shot Up opening it up again. It is going to be the Immortals taking the upper hand, but they have managed to do some severe damage from LG onto Immortals' jet. But also, you have the raise really low. So LG, let's see what they do from this. But Immortals, they're taking his map control early.
Just to give you an idea of how good IMT is on this map, they've played it 8 times in this qualifying They played it in the open and in the closed qualifier,
and won it
they're
every time.
undefeated. Yeah, they only had a double-digit opponent in one map. It was against Cloud9 Blue. They beat Big Frames, Elevate, Cloud9, Sentinels, Envy, Xset, Genji. That's pretty impressive, to say the least. Now, LG, not on that list, so there's still possibilities here as the pistol round is a rededication back towards B. There's one still sitting in Hell, gunned down pretty quickly by jcstani. The player in Heaven also taken out. So both Afterlives currently not an option here for LG. As it's now down to just 2 remaining players. Moose is back up in Heaven trying to retake, as well as a Proto who's by his side in the trusty Cypher role. Dink shot's coming out, but it's not enough as a Proto survives, as does Moose. And they find 2 kills each. So now it's down to a 2-on-2. This is winnable here for LG.
Genghsta is so low on HP too, so both Silva's really low for both teams, but it seems as though the health advantage is pretty even too. Both of them jumping out from the balcony, but unfortunately, it's going to be the Frenzy close range instead from jcstani that picks up the 2 kills. And very simple play pretty much in the end for Immortals. Waste out a bit of utilities towards the A side, fall back, reset, and rush in and trade with the Frenzies. That then comes down to who has the better Frenzies for the trades, and it's going to be Immortals at this point. It was close. They had an advantage, but when they tried to jump out for LG to take control back on the A side on their side, it didn't pay off just because they were both so focused on A main.
Not exactly how you want things to start if you're LG, because last map, you picked up the pistol, and that was a large chunk of what you were able to do in total. You know, they won the pistol in the round that followed in that first half. They won one other round, and that was basically it. Immortals kept their foot on the gas pedal after that and completely controlled the map. Nice shock darts coming out to clear out Cubby. There's a recon dart deep out as well from mid. Mid presence is the name of the game right now, but there's a lot of short control currently for LG as Chemicals is the first one around the corner. A tailwind to get away just in case the follow-up peek comes through. Chemicals holds the line and takes out Stellar as well. And how quickly things are falling apart. Nice paranoia coming in towards short. And Chemicals is cleaning up. That's 3 on the round for one of the newest members of IMT. A Proto is the only one remaining with his trusty Sheriff, but he's all the way over on the B site, and the A site's been lost. It's looking like this could be a flawless round victory for Immortals.
The plan looked pretty good, though, for LG. You know, you had a Proto put on the camera looking towards B main. He pinged out that he saw Nature behind the shed. Shot was going to pick up that last kill, but he saw that Nature was holding towards the back of the shed outside B, so he's going to ping it out and say, look, it's just a lurk from Immortals towards his B side. They're probably going to try to press for control on A. So LG decides to have 3 players stacking up onto that A side, but because they're on that eco, I don't really know if they actually had enough money to go for a paranoia into that round, maybe throw it out, or maybe even a leer. But Chemicals, from his positioning, just very aware of how that crossfire was being set up here for LG, and took advantage to 2 individual 1 versus 1 to allow just Immortals to get this bonus round, basically a flawless almost at the previous round, to move into this one with trying to do more econ damage versus LG.
I think we're paused right now. It paused at 0 seconds. So I believe it's still paused, even though you can't see the blue barriers. If a player was to run into them, they would still get hung up.
Right on that mini-map.
Thank you, your boy Dre, for knifing the barrier, because it helped me solidify that point, because I did, in fact, believe that to be true, and it is. So we will end up waiting for this pause to come undone. Hopefully it's tactical and not technical. We did have technical pauses take over the early of that part of that first game. As remember, we saw right after the pistol round, there was some sort of communication issue with their voice server. They got that fixed pretty quickly, and we were able to jump back in. IMT starting off with the pistol round and the follow-up. You really need to see LG do something here. You know, I fear that the first map is just going to spill over into the second map.
Yeah, I don't think it's over yet for LG. I think we've seen them getting tested earlier on in past tournaments that they played. Also beating a full best out of 5 versus Sentinels when Ascent was at last map, and then they finally turned it over and actually win that series, right? It could have been a reverse in the end for Sentinels, but I think that under pressure, we talked about tenacity and we talked about composure for this team for LG, and I think they definitely have that in terms of moving forward into this best out of 3 versus Immortals. So now, especially in this third round, now that they have the rifles into the round as well, it's not going to be over here. I still have my faith into LG to make this into a close game on the second map and even bring it to a third map. But when you're looking on the other end for Immortals, like you mentioned here, Buck, it was still very one-sided in terms of how aggressive and confident Immortals looked. And if they continue with that confidence, that's where, you know, they might start hitting and eating into that tenacity that we mentioned for LG, where they may crumble, but I think they'll be able to do it.
Now, again, we said this, that IMT might be really good on this map. LG is still pretty serviceable.
Correct.
You know, they did beat Sentinels, like you said. They beat FaZe in the qualifier. They beat Envy. In more recent history, they beat Equinox in the Complexity Invitational. They beat Andbox as well on the map. But when you look at how the maps have played out when IMT has played, their attacking sides have been really good. 8 rounds against XSET, 8 rounds against Envy, 9 rounds against Cloud9, 10 against Big Frames, 8 against Gen G. Pretty solid on the attacking front, and when you're coming out of that last map, and you had a really good one-sided win, if you can get off to a good run here in the second map, there's that mental game. LG starts to doubt themselves as to whether or not they have enough to actually best IMT, and we'll see if that is in fact going to be a factor as we move into this round. IMT is going to be charging towards the B site. You've got a Proto playing on sidewalk just behind the wall, ready to peek any moment. There's target right around the corner, has to go for it soon, but no. The call doesn't come out, and the Proto just kind of gets blindsided, shot in the side of the skull. Now, a retake is already starting to happen as players have already made it out onto the site. The plant in the corner, you can see the bullet starting to pour through the wall a little bit, but it's been reduced down to 1. Now, that's a nice paranoia, because look at where they're at, but they can duck back behind the wall, and you better believe Stellar is not happy, because he knows those players were pinned in and potentially blind, but just can't really risk jumping up onto the banister to take the fight.
Through the X-ray, it looks so close, but I have to put a big question mark on how a Proto never really moved away from his spot, right? I don't know if there was an issue there or whatnot, but it was a little bit difficult a difficult pill to swallow if it was technically an issue, because the footsteps were definitely coming. And usually for like I said, when a Proto plays towards these angles and these corners, when that hit is coming, he usually falls back into the bow house. So for him to just stay aside and get picked off here was a little bit unorthodox for how LG was trying to play that defense, where they're trying to use Moose to bait out from default first, and then he could swing after. There's a possibility for that too. So we wouldn't know until we actually get into their comms, but it's going to be comms from Chemicals to say that he gets the first kill onto Thief, onto that catwalk. Looking at Immortals, it's still going to be a very slow round. They're still trying to take this mid control, although they know that LG is going to be on a low buy this round. We see a couple of shares coming out, and it's just going to be them sweeping up here towards this cat control, towards back spawn on the B side. And there you go. Proto finally swings out. Those are the kills that we want, and he lands them with swag. So that's 2 to fall, a 3-on-2. Immortals looking to rotate back towards A.
A Proto Sheriff at times can be so disgustingly clean. And that's one of those instances. Chemicals pops the glass. Stellar can't keep his eyes in both directions. Tries to go for the 180, but it doesn't work out. Now, a Proto has upgraded from the Sheriff to the Vandal. And we've seen some pretty solid Vandal work as well. Most specifically, a clutch yesterday on Bind. Has to watch out for the Owl drones flying high and through the sky. Will he get around the corner to spot him? Yes. So he's not only going to get a recon dart, but gives up the position and honestly gives up any chance he had at making this work. So you can see him running away, saving the rifle and taking it across the map to bring into play into the next round. Nice high camera as well, just in case he can catch them pushing their way through. He's going to hide on the site. Chemicals is coming in through spawn, but it looks like the rest of the team is favoring a different direction of play. Genghsta's already back in spawn bottom mid. You've got jcstani as well, working his way towards B main. A Proto has to be careful. There's the tailwind that comes through. Somehow this spike still hasn't detonated. A Proto's got to keep himself alive. Finally, the detonation comes through, but at the last possible second, the frenzy peak comes out, and he just couldn't do much about it.
It's not too bad, though, right, Mark? At that point, it was still going to be an eco round that you had for LG, so him picking up that Vandal, not being able to save it, he'll still going to be able to buy this round, too. Adding a little bit more would have helped into the cash later on into the rounds, but definitely at that point, you're still okay with dying. But what you're not okay with is a scoreline, at least for LG, taking the defender side first and also not having much chances, again, to try to find any answers versus Immortals. And speaking about the Immortals team on the attack, I like how they're taking this mid control so far. It's very slow. It's very methodical. They seem to put smokes here towards this catwalk and mid side, and they want to take control of Kench Bench first. As they take control of that, they could split into B later. This round, though, it seems to be an all-out push for them into the B main, but that is going to be a big dart that's going to recon 5 players, but the Killjoy ult comes out too. You have the shock darts coming out from the defender side, and that cancels it out. So that cancels a push at the same time. You have an ult in the back of the site. It gets canceled out. Now they're paranoid from both sides as they're trying to rush through, and it's going to be Stella with the first blood. And now they're trying to push in for Immortals, and they're taking control of Switch first just to try to calm things down.
Back and forth volley that gives LG an advantage. And now it's come down to 1. It's jcstani trying to move up sidewalk. Finally a response from LG. I'm going to go back and look at the last map to see how many rounds in a row it's been, looking across both maps in the series, because it's been a while since we've seen LG pick up a round win. They've been struggling against this IMT roster, but they finally get themselves back on the board. So let's see. The end of the first map, they won a round in round 8, and then it was, what, 8 rounds in a row, plus the 4 here. So it's been 12 straight rounds for IMT since we saw a round win for LG. Switching into this second map, they finally get it. The question is whether or not they can keep that going, because they didn't do that in the first map. I mean, only winning 3 rounds, 2 of them being the pistol and the round that immediately followed, plus a round that came later on in the half in round 8. That was the last time we said we saw them win a round before this one. We'll see if LG can try to find some consistency here against a team who is impressing constantly. Now, Stellar picks up a big kill in mid onto Shot Up. That's the Reyna going down, and that's a big part of this attacking side's approach.
Yep. That was the Al drone that came out there from Moose, and then allowed Stellar to actually push out towards Kench Bench. But Thief also holds up on the catwalk side, so that's 2 headshots onto Chemical and also onto Genghsta. So this slow take towards mid was fully denied by LG, again off that Al drone. So you force the last 2 players just to push towards A main. It's only 1 to go. It's Nature with the spike. He's full HP, full armor, does have a Vandal. He's looking for the angled shot, but it's going to be your boy Dre with the off angle in that Vandal to make it 2 rounds in a row for LG. Also, you could see on this board here, Mark, that we have 4 ults ready here for LG. The most important ones, at least for me, for the defender side, you're looking at the Hunter's Fury, you're looking at the Showstopper. Meanwhile, for IMT, despite them losing that round, they see that the money is low, but thankfully for them, they do have the Blade Storm, which counts as a rifle at the same time.
Right, and I'm curious where they're going to use that, if they're going to go up over towards B, which we've seen before.
Yeah.
That play to kind of peek over the wall and get an early pick on a player up in heaven. It doesn't look like that's going to be the case. There's the ult pop, though, expected. So we'll see that one triggered almost immediately. Nice smoke on Cat to allow Shot Up to lurk into mid. Last time this didn't work out so well, as Stellar was there and waiting. There's an ult coming through, though. This one's going to be from Moose, and this is going to make things a little bit awkward, but somehow not able to find the follow-up that you would expect. There's Shot Up falling again in the one-on-one fight against Stellar. And again, it's another big piece of the attacking side for IMT taken out of the equation. Nature's going to use that digital molly, the nano swarm, to flush out Cubby just in case there's a player there. A Proto's playing in that trusty sidewalk position. We've seen a Proto play on this pillar before, and it's sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. You know, the one time didn't peak. It was really kind of bizarre.
Yeah.
But this LG team has to be prepared for Chemicals. Chemicals has snuck all the way up in mid, gotten up past Pizza, has the knives out, and even has some backup from Genghsta at distance. Sure, Moose is holding this down from spawn, but depending on how Chemicals plays this could end up working out really well, especially if it's timed with this push coming up short. Because you can already see Moose is being pulled away. That could allow Chemicals to come on a flank through spawn.
Even with the smoke, it might not be the deal breaker that they're going to hit towards this catwalk, especially with that Showstopper. So he's going to try to push them back. They're running back into the B side, but unfortunately, like you said, Moose has rotated out. So Chemicals push towards that spawn. He's cutting our rotation. He hears the footsteps, but a Proto again is holding his ground on that sidewalk. The nice miss connects it out to your boy Dre, but Moose is there for the trade-off. Only 3 seconds left. This round comes back in favor of LG. We're just trying to take Genghsta down, who still gives his hand towards B main. Gets a kill to just hurt some economy, but it's still going to be LG putting 3 on a row, putting 1 away to tie things up, and that's what you needed. So again here, Mark, they're okay with giving this mid side after especially the pings from the Hunter's Fury that Moose came out towards the back of the spawn side, and that allowed for them to just get that first kill into from LG into Immortals, and then just fall back, give up the sights, or give up mid at least, and watch it from the back spawn side, and it worked out in their favor in the end.
Now, I wonder if we're going to see some sort of just full 5-man play coming in here eventually, because it feels like IMT keeps trying to exploit mid control, and they've been struggling to deal with Stellar, who's been locking down market really well. When you have Shot Up, who has Empress available, I would love to see it utilized. Try and get that early round advantage. Yikes. Doesn't even need it. Distance just drops Thief. You can see it from the third-person perspective. As his teammate watches him fall, your boy Dre does come in with at least a trade to follow up. There's the Hunter's Fury coming out now from the attacking side. Now that pulse will give away the position of one. Now they know there's 2 players there, so they know there's one towards the door, and they know there's one playing towards garden. But Shotup's able to go in and just swing. There's the dismiss to get away, and just like that, they have sight control as they try to take control of Cat, though they still have to deal with Stellar, who has been a thorn in their side. A Proto's arrived as well. A Proto's gonna find one more, and just like that, a Proto gets 3 on the round. An incredible response from LG. They looked like they were crumbling, but they braced the foundation. And Stellar and a Proto survive. It's a big round win for LG. That will get the confidence boost.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I was telling you guys about in that pregame. When they don't play a Jet right now for LG, what does that give? Having another agent, having utilities. So you saw, yes, the first kill did happen there onto Thief where they lost their leaders. But when they were trying to push, after a couple of smokes are being thrown, you saw the paint shells come out here from your boy Dre, which slowed down the initial push. A nice paranoia came out from Stellar that was dismissed away from Shot Up, so it seems as though they were able to get through. But that gave enough time for a Proto to switch over to the A side from B and get that triple kill in the end. So nice stoppage power, nice way to stop that rush from Immortals and just readjust after losing a first player onto the A side. But you saw at the same time too, when you lost Thief, the trade came out immediately from your boy Dre. So they had a nice setup at least for that trade for LG. And now they tie things up on a 4-4, and we have Immortals on a save.
Immortals save rounds, though, can still be quite scary. We've already seen some impressive pistol work throughout the event. And Shot Up had some fun on that first map, but it was only with a classic flying around, leapfrogging. Let's see what they can do. LG set up for the defense. You've got Thief on site, who's looking to pick up some steam here. Thief has played so well for this team in the past. Will find 2. Nice shot coming in from jcstani, but just like that, it's over. Real quick, they shut it down. Thief and Stellar full house stop for LG. 5 rounds now. They've taken the lead away from IMT. As good as the attacking side has been for Immortals on this map, that's the defensive side, excuse me, that's been the bread and butter for LG. So you have 2 teams kind of clashing, and it's not a surprise that we're seeing a much closer scoreline here, because again, we talked about it in that last map. Bind just felt really peculiar as a map number 1. Maybe the thought process from LG was like, we'll see what we can do, and we'll plan to go to that 3rd map anyway, which will be Icebox. And it's a map that both teams have been proficient on. You and I have personally covered LG on the map, seen what they're capable of. LG still have quite a few rounds to win, though, before we can get to that point. IMT is back on the buy. They do have Empress available. They've got Lockdown as well from the Shadows. On the other side, you've got Empress from the Shadows and Neural Theft. 3 ults for each side. The question for me is, how do they use Lockdown, which will be the most valuable ult coming in here for Immortals? It should be a push-button win. And there's the ult being popped. They don't necessarily explode off of it. They're trying to force them back. There's still a gap in hell and heaven, so they have to be careful back sight for players that could be in that position. They can't just run in blind. So they do start making their way, but they're being careful. They're being methodical with their approach. You can even see the nano swarm that came out just in case there was a player up top behind the boxes.
Yep. Even with that, they sprayed down towards Hell too, just in case. And they even didn't need to plant rather when there was like 3 or 4 seconds left. It's just to make sure they can get map control. So now it comes down to a 5 versus 5 retake. But the thing is for LG, because of that Killjoy ult, they still have so much utility for this retake. So it's going to be a bloodbath. You see Genghsta already. He still has the recon dart. You have the paint shells. And Genghsta is going to be able to watch his flank. So Thief has to be aware of this catwalk. And he looks at it. He fake clears it. But Genghsta whiffs the shot. Now we're battling through the walls. And Thief does get that frag. And a Proto runs into the site. That's another triple kill for him. There's only 1 more to go. And I saw a knife come out. I don't know if they thought that they were all dead. But thankfully, Thief was there to get the last kill. They will get the defuse too, and that was a much harder hold in the end for Immortals. Again, just possibly with the amount of utilities that you have for LG for this retake. But it looked very good, and it was solidified for LG. They take the lead by 2.
Man, that play from Genghsta should have worked out so much better. If it had, it very likely changes the outcome of that round.
Yep.
As it keeps them guessing as to where the final positions of these players are. There's support coming in from Tree Room all of a sudden. That push coming in from Cat is shut off. But it's another round for LG. That's now 6 in a row. They're saying, hey, we saw what IMT did to us in that first map, winning a lot of rounds in a row. Well, now we're going to do the exact same thing. Moose, no surprise here to see a Sofa playing B site with an Odin. Been popularized by several players. One that stands out most notably is going to have to be Sinatraa, who uses that gun on pretty much every map, doesn't really seem to care, and doesn't really have a circumstance or requirement for purchasing it, just wants to use it. That's the way that it is. Thief is going to get aggressive over towards short, or excuse me, towards long A, and it results in his demise. Meanwhile, Shotup has snuck up on Cat as well. They're going to use the shock dart, which takes out the glass. That allows Shotup to push in without taking a shot, but it doesn't matter. There's one still waiting there. Stellar gonna find the follow-up. It's down to a 3-on-3. They do have site control. They've got the spike there. Stellar is still in heaven. The rest of the team is starting to rotate over. They're all going to be coming in from heaven right now.
And that was a big neural theft, though. So they know where all the positions are for the attackers on this pulse plant. Low HP is going to be jcstani, getting walled at the same time from this from the heavens into the generator. Genghsta repositioning himself, but the Owl Drone is going to make it easier for Proto, who continues to be a king on this retakes. Nature now in a 1 versus 3. The turret is going to come out. The spike is not yet to be defused. A smoke looks like it got moved here towards the entrance, but he puts a nanostorm on the ground. And that's going to run down that clock just for a bit. Nature trying to move forward, trying to spray as it's getting pinged. He makes it a 1 versus 1. He's still spraying desperately. Back to the classic, and he does get the kill off this Stellar. And it's going to be Nature getting that clutch in the end.
Last round before the switch.
Big round coming in from Nature to try and keep the score close. Ridiculous that it even got to that point, because it felt like with the way they approached, it should have been easy for LG. A Proto, they get that drone intel on the player back behind default. The neural theft gave away the position of jcstani. jcstani has to drop off after getting spammed. They heard the drop, so they knew he was low on the ground. Or at least they thought he was, based on the neural theft that pinged that position not that long prior. So either way, they knew he was in that position. So the drone gives away the first position. A Proto snuck out all the way across, back behind the big box. So it's a quick flick from a Proto onto that. Then just clearing the corner easily. It's a 1v3 that should have been more than winnable. But the Nano Swarm proves to be very valuable, delays the fight, and gave Nature the time to fight his way out of that. Now, LG is back in the driver's seat again here in this round.
Yeah.
It's 5-on-3, but we do have the knives out for Chemicals. We'll see if it's a little bit more successful here for the Jet. Moving in towards short. There's a tailwind to lead in. Thief's going to execute one from distance, and it's very quickly down to jcstani. LG looked absolutely fantastic here in this first LG. The last map, let's just forget about it. Wipe it aside. It's okay. LG, they come into this one losing a few rounds in a row, but then they step on that gas pedal. 7-5 is the halftime score, but you still got to watch out for IMT. There's always that potential, and it's only a 2-round lead. Plenty of opportunity and time here for them on the defense as the push comes through to this B site.
You wanted a group push, it's going to be a group push for LG instead, but that's some nanostorm that's going to do some heavy damage. That's a first to fall, make that a second, falling into the boathouse, using the angle, using the range to their favor, but it is going to be a trade-off from LG and Immortals, leaving only a Proto, the last man standing, and it's going to be jcstani from down towards the site up to the sidewalk, and that is going to be sealing the deal for the Pistols in favor of the Immortals. So far, Bach, out of 4 pistols, only 3 of them, only 1, sorry, out of the 4 has been won by LG. So things are looking good for Immortals to continue at least with the momentum in the first few rounds of these halves.
That was so incredibly well read by IMT as well. You know, with the amount of firepower they had on the site, it was quite difficult for LG, and they got slowed down, most notably by Nature's utility. Nano Swarm can be brutal, especially in the early rounds. So they have to back off. That allows time for the rotate to come through. And IMT just make it almost impossible for LG. So what does LG do here? They're going to be grouping up over towards B. You've got Genghsta, who's already spamming through. Oh, those shots were so close. Nice shot on the Flying Thief. Has to be careful, though. There's a lot more coming around the corner. Shock Dart does go in. May have done some damage. Couldn't quite tell. Now the Stinger has to back off. You still got Genghsta waiting around the corner. There's firepower from up in heaven. That's support. but they're falling off. They're peeling away with the spike because they've got Stellar, who's already snuck all the way around a garden. And I love the move to dodge what could potentially spot him out in this position.
Yeah, this could
because
be a
he
big
ducks down. This could be huge. He's got that control, but what do they do with it?
Looking.
Oh,
That's
free.
it.
Oh, okay. Chemicals with a peek out. The Stinger ADS, not something we've seen too much of. But the spike will be planted nonetheless, 3-on-3. LG somehow managed to get into this site with just pistols, but they're quickly getting cut down. And even Stellar, who made that all possible with his slow lurk up cat, can't survive.
Definitely. You're happy with that still.
Yeah, I would be too. You know, you take down 2 players, you make it so that the next round's going to cost a little bit more as well, so they have to buy up for the rifles. They can't come into it with the bonus round. You get the spike plant, which boosts your own economy. That's a win.
Yep. Especially as well when you looked at that second round on that eco that you had for LG. A proto did buy a sheriff, so you were counting on a proto on this push towards the gate side to have that long-range sheriff come into their favor, but he was only down to like 5 HP, which looked very grim for LG to try to get into the A site in the end. But Stellar, by getting that backstab here in the rotation, getting that kill on to Genghsta towards short A, allow for them to get into the site and get the spike plant, where now you have full armor, full rifles, probably full utilities across the board for LG2. That's definitely going to help them hopefully turn this around here on the second half. It is going to be a bonus still, so Immortals taking the advantage of pushing forward out of this, where Chemicals is just around the corner. It was a one-way smoke coming in for the defenders, and it's still going to be just 2 players watching it from behind, expecting some sort of push, potentially maybe even a paranoia to allow Chemicals to push later on from the tree side, but things will just stay calm for now. I love that. You saw that. So that recon dart went down towards A main at the same time as the paranoia came out from the tree side. So that's a huge utility that got used by Immortals that weakens down what is left for Immortals on this defense. This is why you see LG shifting back towards this A side.
Yeah. It's a setup we see pretty regularly. That paranoia come out that allows the long A peak, or at least to get orb control. jcstani has a great angle here with the sheriff, but just has to get the timing right and can't. Again, X-ray is what we see, not him. So it looks a lot easier for us on the other side. Thief trying to move into position. They know there's one around the corner. There's the shadow step to get away from that one. So good move. And then, oh, he tries to go right back. And Proto is like, that's cute and all, but we're already here, homie. Sorry. Spike's going to be planted. And it will be LG with site control yet again. 3 players remaining here for IMT. What do they try to do to get back into the site? This time the firepower for LG is a lot more powerful than what they brought into the last couple of rounds, so it's going to be way harder for them to get past this with just a couple of SMGs, Stingers, and the like. But shot up, quick work coming out, at least gets 1. There's a Proto as well, dropping another. It's LG who survived with 4. Pretty much picking up where they left off in that first half.
Correct. Continue to build that economy up into this round,
Right.
into this gun round could help a lot if you're able to take the upper hand. But one thing that I wanted to mention on top of that recon dart versus the paranoia fight, the reason why I really liked it too is the timing that you had from Moose throwing that recon dart. It also forced Chemical to push back. So the idea was try to get the paranoia from jcstani from Garden into A main, have Chemicals come out, swing with the Stinger, and dash away if you get a kill, making the numbers dwindle for LG. But because of that denial from that recon dart was good enough to just say, hey, LG, Immortals has nothing left towards the A side, pinch towards the site, and they even win it with only 1 player falling down. So again, being able to keep that economy up is very good for them. Moving into the second half, the dash misses into the wall, but it's good enough for them to fall back for Chemicals at least. So an early 5-on-5, a little bit of lurk that they were spotted from Immortals onto LG, but still not more out of that. So they still have to keep themselves on their toes for this defender side.
Thief playing games right now. You got jcstani on the other side, but you've got the Owl drone moving up on long first. This is the angle that jcstani has, but that smoke's going to make it difficult to work with. Nice paranoia. Boombot gets a little bit scary, has to swivel around. That's what allows your boy Dre to get into position. He doesn't really get a chance to reset his crosshair. Your boy Dre popping off, finding 3. LG back on the site again with a player advantage. Now they have to worry about shot up, but never mind. Shot up gets deleted by Moose. It's now down to Nature. And Nature's trying to do whatever possible. That actually moved the turret. The Blast Pack pushes the turret back. Didn't even know that was a thing. Your boy Dre finds 4 on the round. Interesting, but it's another round win for LG. Did you know about that?
Yeah, it's kind of like the Rolling Thunder 2 that just shoots it away as
yeah,
well. So
I just didn't realize, like, I've never really seen a circumstance where a Blast Pack gets thrown at a turret. It doesn't happen all that often.
And there you go, Mark. You said it correctly here. The fact that you're using this utility towards the short side, even though they lost the first player, and that was a fat paranoia that came out there from jcstani on that defender side, but that alarm bot, or the boom bot rather, sorry, gave enough information for LG to know that there was a second player there really close by on the outside of the smoke. So you get that first kill, the Omen smoke on that catwalk after towards that garden allows LG to just pressure into A side where your boy Dre just went off in that last round. So one player on a Nico, make that the whole team seems to be on a Sheriff buy, maybe even lower than that, as they're trying to get some pressure towards this A side. They rotate fast, they want to work as a group, and it seems as though they want to push towards this mid control.
Chemicals got the knives out again. We haven't seen a great success rate for Chemicals with that Jet ult. 1 kill in a previous round. Starts to run away, has to be careful. You boy Dre almost timed that perfectly to escape. Blast Pack to get around the corner as there's fear of what could be waiting from catwalk. That's what will allow your boy Dre to get back into the spawn. Now, Aldrone will go out first, and Shot Up actually goes right into this one. I love the play. The dismiss after charging in, gets the intel, even had an opportunity to find one more. And that's got LG reeling. They're trying to find an alternate strategy. Now, this nade should be on the money if the shot isn't, and not really much that jcstani can do in that scenario.
Yeah, and I knew because of that, the paranoia came in from catwalk side. Take control of mid again. We talked about the dart that came out, the recon dart towards A main, but Chemicals does get the shot onto Moose. Now you want to come back towards the A side again because there's less utilities on the A side. It's going to be Genghsta, the one that's going to try to stop them, but he gets ruled over instead by Thief. For 13 seconds left on the clock before we get the plant down. It is a 3-on-2. They have a lockdown, and I think the knives are still available, though, for Jets. So that means Chemicals and Nature could still get something done here. Full kit for utilities for Killjoy 2.
You're probably gonna see that lockdown utilized right over here on short. It's really difficult to get away from. They have to go after this. They have to charge to try to kill it. That's the only responsible result. And you can see them trying to go for it. They're trying to charge towards. They shut the door though. So even though it's gonna get one, they get one away who goes into Wine Cellar, and now they have to deal with this player who's backside, but they really have to worry about the player over towards A main. They know that one got away. Stinger does come out. Now the detain's gonna wear off. Really well played from LG. Shutting that door, basically eliminating the threat that came through. And you can see the response there from Chemicals. Tries to tailwind through before the door shuts. There's one waiting around the corner. The detain comes in, but it's irrelevant. Thief doesn't care because he's got backup from his teammate over on long A. Really well played from LG. It was a Proto who was in that position over towards Wine Cellar. 22-9 from the Cypher. Another strong game from a Proto like we've seen from him in the past.
Yeah, every single player on that attempt of a retake and even holding the pulse plant were so good aware in terms of map awareness and game awareness of how the action was going to unfold after that door closing down. You even saw the nanoswords being thrown from the tree side into Wine just to make sure that if a Proto was there off-timed, he was actually going to burn down and basically die from the nanoswarm into Wine. But the timing was a little bit better there for LG to be able to get that kill onto Chemicals, trying to dash to that door, and now LG take the lead by 3. Now you have the weapons back, though, for Immortals. They are trying to hold things a little bit more on this catwalk side, using all of Nature's abilities on that catwalk, too. Seeing how many times LG pressured that catwalk with success. But now, you see it already. They're reading it perfectly for LG, saying, this time, let's just switch it up. 5-man push towards his B side, off a recon dart most likely, and here it comes. Recon dart towards the back of the side, pushing in as LG gets the first kill.
There's the ult as well coming out from Moose. Pulse after pulse onto the site. Shot Up goes for the dismiss. There's a Lear coming out as well. Not able to survive in that scenario, though. Just too much coming towards him. A Proto is right around the corner. Has to keep his head on a swivel and just can't quite get the 50-50 right. Was trying to watch spawn, was trying to watch market. Here's the footstep, starts to turn back. There's the peek that comes through. Moose is still in B main, though. And jcstani's going to say, I'm just going to ignore Moose. Going to try and work my way up sidewalk. The peek's going to come through momentarily, so he has to go up onto that little ledge to avoid the threat. And Stellar is there to close things out. 11 rounds for LG. We said map 2 was going to be difficult for them, but we weren't prepared for LG to come out swinging like this.
Yeah, they're looking very good here on this map, especially when we talked about it before, Mark. We said it was 8-0 during the VCTs, open qualifier into closed qualifiers for Immortals, and they're 8-0. You've listed out the amount of teams that they were able to beat, and they were all top teams going into the VCTs that they beat into this map. But LG only 4-0, but we've seen their history on this map before. They're good on this map, and it's always going to be a Proto very close to the top of how he plays in this map. But to see him do a lot of impact frags, into the attacker side, they just flipped the switch here on the second map. I have a feeling that we're going to look at Icebox as a third map very soon, and it's going to continue to be a very tight matchup in the series.
Well, we talked about Immortals' impressive 8-0 because of the strength of performance, beating Genji, Exit, Envy, Sentinels, Cloud9, Big Frames, Elevate, and a team called Aqua in the round of 128 in the open qualifier. What we didn't really spend too much time talking about is the fact that LG has only lost this map once in 2021. We saw them beat Carpe Noctem, Anbox, Complexity, Equinox, who they then lost to later on, Sentinels, FaZe Clan, and Envy. Several teams on that list, very solid. So both teams are good. It's just the more recent history from IMT and the strength of some of those victories is what had us favoring them to begin with. Plus, obviously, momentum coming in from map number 1. Here, though, LG has proved that they're resilient and they've got some fight left in them. Thief playing close to the door. Coming out from Market, has to be careful. There's targets coming in from all angles. Thief goes for the swing. The dismiss as well, but it doesn't last very long. So there's jcstani with the punish. It doesn't matter. That's 2 quick kills. That gives LG a massive advantage. Stellar wants to get out of B main, potentially port away from this one, decides not to, as a Proto is there and present. It's fallen down onto Genghsta, who has to keep his head turned back towards B main. Now they have to exit B main. There's no one on the site. They're both sitting in B main, and there's the recon dart as well to give away their positions. Genghsta gonna get this one to halfway, potentially tries to. They pull off as you see the peak coming through from Sidewalk. Genghsta still in position, has to switch to the sidearm. Jumping classic headshot, not going to do enough damage. LG, 12 rounds to 7. Got a 5-round advantage over IMT, and the money for IMT coming into what could be the final round of this map.
Key round there for Thief and your boy Dre. And a nice little difference here. When you don't have Jet into the roster, it's okay because you also have somebody like a Raze that's going to be able to do the satchel charges to get fast into the site, the fast control, and also baiting out the shots that came in from Market side, which allowed LG to just overpower towards Market side and give Thief that position for him to be able to get 2 kills into the Market in the end. So very well done. They played a very passive, actually, post-plan situation with 2 players towards B main, but you saw it. If it ever came down that they were losing players from a Proto and your boy Dre inside the site, that from the shadows probably was going to go towards Bolt House just to ensure that we have an anchor player in the end as well. But now map point into the second one. A Proto opens it up through the smoke and now also gets the neural theft. This is going to be huge. They're going to know where Nature is at. Nature's trying to dance around the generator as it gets picked off. It's such a low bar here for the defenders as it's a 4-on-3 for LG. The plant is about to come through. jcstani is on the top, and it's going to be now them playing turtle into the site. They're going to be the ones that are going to be pinched for LG now. We have them pushing it already for Immortals. That's 2 kills for them. Evened up on a, make that another 2 as a Proto seals the deal and makes it 13-7 for LG, and is now IGL for SOR, now IGL for IMT. But his handle is also CS Nature, so he does have that experience at least coming out from other TAC FPS, which also has that big brain to be able to call for the team. Now, with that though, without further ado, the pistol round is underway, and it seems that LG on the attacker side are just looking for some heavy pressure towards B. A Shock Dart did a bit of damage. He's going to get healed up, so that means that's going to be on timer right now for Stellar. What happens now? Immortals playing more passive with 3 players already rotating back towards the B site. It's going to be a tough hold or tough take for LG.
Got shot up in position. Frenzy has to dodge the shots that could be coming that direction. The recon dart's not really going to give away too many positions. Does actually send out 1 ping. The spike is just below shot up. It's chaos right now over on this B site. As you can see, the zoom in on the minimap in the corner. Shoutouts to production and observers for making that one possible, so we can get a better idea of what's happening over in that corner of the site. But ultimately, all of that friction that's met results in LG bailing. They're like, this is not good. We're going away. A Proto somehow gets a one and done out of that one. So they'll actually be able to come into this A site with a spike plant in a 4-on-4.
You're super happy for that. And now IMT are rotating back from the spawn side already. Shot Up is going to even up the tally, make that a 4 versus 3. Two players are super low as the heal comes up for Jet. That is going to be Thief. But Shot Up continues to push inside the A site. Thief now at the maze. Gets traded out by jcstani. It's all up to Moose. He has no utility to work with. He's going to try to drop down as it's a fake defuse, and now jcstani from that mid-range gets that frag with the frenzy. And I was laughing a little bit, Bach, because we had a Proto, by the way, who's playing Raze on this map instead of Cypher, which I like, because the trap wires don't seem to do a lot in terms of the B-side, A-side places. So you're able to have somebody like a Proto even have a showstopper to stop any couple of pushes, and the way that he aims is good enough. But he was stuck towards yellow. 3 guys were fighting against him. He stayed alive for so long to allow LG to get into the site for a plant and even get a kill on top of that. So you were definitely satisfied for LG. Just then, on a post plant, the retake for Immortals looked very good.
Any thoughts that that could potentially be a future agent for the game, some kind of samurai character?
Apparently, for the lore, is Yoru escaped that samurai armor and now is the cool street kid that we see for Valorant.
The natural progression for all samurais, from ancient warrior to street kid.
Yep.
Seems to make sense. It all connects. We'll see what IMT has for us here as LG is trying again to get back onto this A site. This time they're going straight for it. There's the wall coming out. Genghsta's going to spray away. Stellar with a nice response. And a Proto's going to pick one off as well. There's jcstani, who is hiding back behind the box. Stellar lines up too. And LG steals a round away after they force up in the second round. They got the spike plant in round 1, which gave them that extra oomph to come in with a little bit more firepower there. And it works out nicely for them. Now, they went to overtime in their win against Sentinels on this map, and it was with a 3-9 attacking side. So they won 3 rounds on the attacking side. So to kick things off the way that they just did after losing the pistol, that's huge, and it might allow them to build up a little bit more momentum than they were able to get against Sentinels in their 14-12 overtime victory earlier in the tournament.
You seem to want to have a default now for LG. Here. Fighting a little bit towards the garage side, trying to clear out towards the A side, and you have a lurk on mid. In the end, it's Stellar and Thief that gets the first bloods into the A side as we're trying to be aggressive for the Immortals. But they still don't want to commit on this yet because there is a dark cover that's out there. So they're just trying to make sure that it dissipates first and creep in slowly. But you could still see the spike is down towards mid side. They want to make sure they can control out first and see if they need to rotate over to B side instead. And it starts off with Shot Up getting the kill. They're going to hear the footsteps coming in from the heaven side. Now they pick up the spike. If they get more pressure, if they don't get any these kills, but now that they do, it's good enough for them to say, okay, we have the numbers advantage. Let's just pinch against Genghsta. You have one rotating from Boiler. Actually, they fall all the way back, so this is good. The one cutting in rotation is going to be Moose. Genghsta is going to make his way towards Boiler, and we should get the easy plant now towards the A side, B side, sorry.
Genghsta just hoping that maybe they decide to go back to A. It's not going to be the case. The spike will, in fact, be planted over on the B site.
They're spread across.
A Proto. So here's something that I didn't get a chance to say. Sorry to cut you off.
No worries, no worries.
But we didn't really talk about like the agent juggle coming into this, right? Like we've mentioned that they like to switch roles, but we didn't really see it in the last map. If you actually look at the agent selections here, it's kind of wild. You said they were split across, and you're right, but realistically speaking, I don't think it matters too much. You can see Stellar is there waiting with the SMG. Genghsta comes around the corner, isn't prepared for it. But I love that LG makes such a drastic swap around. Your boy Dre's playing Omen now. Moose on the Sova, Thief on the Jet. Moose and Thief are really the only two that play roles they typically play, because Stellar goes to Sage and Proto goes to Raze as he usually plays Cypher. Your boy Dre's typically playing more of that Raze role, so it's really interesting to see how they swap roles coming into this map.
Well, it shows how they want to add a lot of importance on Sage, and that's why Stellar is great at that agent. He's been top fragging a lot on this map as Sage. He knows how to play her very well on this map, and how things change. That wall is so good for the A site. We talk about the wall towards generator on the bottom right side corner of that A site. If you're looking at it from the minimap. But what's changed here for LG is they kind of do like a European style where they wall up towards screens instead. Wall up that side, take control of left side and right side of maze, plant, and even hold into the site instead of playing retakes and utilities. And that shows a little bit more pressure now for LG, a little bit more strength as well, as you can see how they take over the site. This round though, they're going to try to wall up towards B. They're trying to push towards this side, towards the B side. They're even going towards the back of the site, but because through the dark cover, we get a couple of stinger shots. Even LG B going out with the knives. That's 1. That's 2 for 2. It's a 3 versus 2 in favor of the defender's side instead. Shot darts across the board. Spike has yet to be planted. Your boy Dre stuck by himself, about to get flanked from spawn, and it's going to be jcstani with the kill.
That was a bit of a cluster over on that B site. That was just a back and forth mess, as we saw each team fighting for control of that B site. And ultimately, it's Immortals who come out on top of that, but there was still a chance for your boy Dre in the 1v2. Unfortunate the swing comes out from spawn, eliminates that opportunity. jcstani, genghsta, and ShotUp all with ults available. That's the Hunter's Fury, Empress, and from the shadows. On the flip side, you've got Rez available for Stellar, and you've got a Proto ready with the Showstopper. LG sending the drone out early to spot players over on long, and they hear the ring of the operator. Again, we talked about it. LG is not a team with a really strong up presence, whereas Immortals has a bit of a leg up there with Chemicals feeling comfortable in that role. So we've wondered if that's going to be a problem for them, like their Achilles heel. But what we've seen thus far is that 5 roster, that 5 rifle setup, seems to work out quite nicely for them. Ults being popped across the board. Genghsta gets one with the Hunter's Fury. The Showstopper was utilized and the Rocket connects as well. Genghsta now comes in and spots Thief just on the tippy top of dark cover. Good damage being dealt to the planter as well, but obviously there is a heal available that keeps him alive for the time being. Nanoswarm comes out. Stellar finds the kill first, so it keeps us at even strength. 2-on-2, tap on the spike, follow-up smoke as well to give them more time. Your boy Dre right around the corner, waiting, sees the rifle push through the smoke first, and there's your boy Dre with the follow-up as well. LG back in control as they win round number 5.
And you saw those 2 shark darts come down towards that ground, courtesy of Moose towards the back of the site, just in case somebody was still onto that spike. So very well played on a 2 versus 2. I said the important kill came from Stellar. He was already low on HP after spiking that plant down towards the A side. He was getting walled in a do or die position there towards the green boxes of the site. So for him to be able to take down Nature with him before he dies and make things a little bit easier for LG on a 2 versus 2 was definitely a crucial kill for him to get. Probably the much needed kill that they needed for LG to be able to secure that round. And because he died too, there was no wall going in towards the spawn side either. But Chemicals, he does have the Blade Storm. They tried to get this boiler control from under pipe and also towards boiler. The res to come up too, so things are looking still good for LG.
Your boy Dre just waiting patiently for jcstani to swing out wider. Finally says enough's enough and takes the initiative to take him out. You've still got some players left standing on A with Chemicals here. Knives out and Sova there as well. Recon Dart goes high into the sky, gets taken down almost immediately. And the person who fired it falls almost immediately after that as well. A Proto's already up on the site, has to worry about the one backside on the ground. That was Nature, and now the last player standing is Chemicals, trying to connect with the knives. Still struggling to find success. We've seen 2 kills, I think, on Chemicals ult so far this series.
Yeah.
That's it. Now, only played Jet last map and this map. Did not play Jet on the first map, to be fair.
Yeah. No, at the same time, like I said, I think it's for both of these teams now being very good at controlling the ultimates for some of these players that usually do a lot of damage. We talked about how Thief was maintained very well with his run it back when they were playing on Bind, where it was very one-sided for the Immortals in that victory. And into this round now, and also in that previous round, when you have Chemicals with the knives that usually pops off too, it's nice that LG knows where he's coming from and is able to deny all of that. But this round, it's going to be an operator back in the hands of the defenders, and it's going to be Chemicals getting that first blood. So yes, a nice miss, but at least the op shot connects, and that's already a first player to fall down early, so they have to reassess on how they want to work this. With the spike still being in garage, they're going to try to lurk now towards this mid side, and not having a Sage is going to help them a lot to gain the control of Kitchen first, but thankfully, Nature is playing inside the back of the spawn, and a turret spotted them.
Thief. Sitting up in the hallway, waiting for something to come that direction. There's the missed op shot. Things are getting awkward again on the site. There's the drop in from Thief, but it doesn't really produce the success that they would hope for. Stellar has taken care of the op threat and decides to pick it up, knowing that it's at least something they need to try to utilize. Moose could have had a great flank had it not been for the alarm bot that gave away that position. So he's going to have to go up on Snowpile and jump up into window.
30 seconds
Moving through
left.
kitchen. There are players in spawn currently. They're playing this one so patiently. Both teams are. Genghsta has not moved from this position. He's still hunkered down towards Snowman, waiting for the peek to come out. Spots the thighs first. There's the wall going in and the spike being planted. Now the recon dart does give away Stellar's position. Paranoia making things a little bit awkward. A dart in his belly as well. The man just can't catch a break as jcstani comes in to secure the defuse here for IMT's third round in the first half.
Yes, still so much utilities there for Immortals and a retake from Genghsta. It was going to be a very hard one. Both players for LG had to activate on that 3 versus 2. You were hoping that flank coming in from the long hallway into the B site to be able to get that frag, but it didn't pay out in their favor. And even Stella, for Chemicals to be able to get the kill onto your boy Dre. You see it right now in the POV of Genghsta off camera where the body of your boy Dre is down towards that B side. They had it perfectly where they rotated Chemicals in the back where he's out in the open by yellow, but somehow the shots didn't connect for your boy Dre. That was that key round that they needed for LG. But for Chemicals to be able to get that second frag into the round definitely helped Immortals with the man advantage to be able to secure that round. But with the amount of rounds that we won so far for LG, still looking very healthy in the economy, in the bank, to work back towards this slow default A side that seems to be working in their favor. You talked about how they were able to win 3 rounds only on the attacker side versus Sentinels. Well, they have 4 already out of 7, so you're really comfortable. You're really happy with the results so far for LG. You just want this to continue.
A lot of times when we do see this map played, it's pretty often that you see plays towards this A side as well. You know, the B side is just, it's a little uncomfortable and awkward, especially if you don't have a strong op to try and get that early pick. Now, jcstani has to move quick as not only does the nade come in, but a slow orb as well, making that so difficult for him to get away as A Proto seriously carves apart the defense. Now, the ult's going to be popped by Genghsta, but it's not really going to hit too much. So the spike will be guaranteed here. It's 5-on-3 off of impressive entry work from a player who's typically not the entry. Typically playing Cypher, more of a support role, more of a lurk, backline kind of player. But he doesn't seem to be phased at all with the transition into playing Raze here. Now, a nice pick-off coming in from the up, and there's the defender Killjoy coming out as well. Is he outside of the radius? That's the question. It's right into that back corner. Nature's going to go charging in. They take it out with the Hunter's Fury. That's brilliant. And Moose even gets a follow-up. So not only does he cancel the ult, he also gets a kill with it. And that sends Chemicals flying across the map as they realize the round has been lost. You know, it's round number 5 on the board here for LG.
It seems as though LG were just very aware that that Killjoy ultimate was going to come into play at that point. So keeping that Hunter's Fury is very good. Speaking of keeping things, it's going to be Chemicals being able to keep his operator into the next round. But just the way that execution came in for LG towards that A side. Not only did we see a timing for paint shells and towards the slow orbs on the right side of the site, you saw a paranoia towards left side of the maze towards screens, which allowed Stellar to get towards spawn side at that maze and wall off the spawn. So the execution had to be impeccable in terms of timing, and you know that this is being practiced for LG. They take over that site, they get the pulse plant, they get the great positioning. Even Moose is all the way back towards the belt for their Hunter's Fury to cancel that ult. The thing is right now that seems to be their weakness is Thief likes to go up towards that A nest on that side on a pulse plant, and that's the second time that he dies to Chemical coming in from the boiler side. So they have to be aware of that position. They have to try to find a different way to fight back Chemicals on the rotation or not play that spot instead.
If you're Moose, do you think you're told to save your Hunter's Fury specifically for that ult? Not just in that round, but in general. Because you can kill it through anything. I feel like that's definitely, like you said, you gotta. Now, they get site control. Yet again, it's a little bit more costly here, but LG has had no problems getting onto the A site, and Immortals has struggled at trying to retake. Now, the wall comes in. It does kind of derail the plans of the Boombot, who was trying to make it out towards spawn a little bit further. Nature comes out on the top side. Can't quite squeeze the bullets around the corner, so the target will get a chance to fight for another day. Stellar hiding back behind the big box in the corner here. Has to be careful. There's one more threat on the site. It's Genghsta, who's already found 3 kills on the round. Recon dart goes high. If the peek comes out, he's going to know. Goes to take it out. There's the shock dart. No, it's a recon dart giving away the position. He's sticking it. No! The pistol does not get there in time. Genghsta finds 4 on the round. An incredible clutch that Immortals desperately needed.
You saw that from Moose's point of view, or sorry, from Gangsta's point of view, with Moose coming in front of him, those classic shots somehow were just ricocheting off the wall right next to him trying to defuse. Barely any of them actually hit the diffuser, and that was a very beautiful clutch by Genghsta. Just to answer your question there, Bach, as to should Moose keep his Hunter's Fury to go against Nature's Killjoy? Definitely against the lockdown, because when you take their retake towards the A side with the Killjoy ult, you usually place it towards screens. As it's already being walled up by Stellar, they have no way of pressuring out towards that side to try to deny it. And at the same time, you're running into your opponents rotating back from mid side, from Boiler, and from B. So to keep that Hunter's Fury up is definitely key to counter back versus the lockdown. But again, got to commend Genghsta on that previous round in a retake again for Immortals, for Genghsta to get 4 kills and also the clutch in the end.
Thief flying around with the knives out. That's the first kill as their Jet does start to carve apart the defense, and yeah, my lord. LG makes it look easy. We talked about how difficult it was for them to get out onto this B site. This is not going to be one of those times. The res comes in as well towards the tail end of the round. And follow-up heal, sure, why not? LG, 6-4 over Immortals. Yeah, exactly. You got to pad those stats. Genghsta, 15-7 right now.
Yep.
Genghsta has not been a statistical leader in this series. I believe was at the bottom of the scoreboard in map number 1. Was at the bottom of this scoreboard in map number 2. So much so that coming into this series, I found myself quoting the great poet Curtis James Jackson III, better known as 50 Cent, when he says, "What up, cuz? What up, blood? What up, Genghsta?" I've been wondering where this man has been. He's been hiding, but now he's arrived, and he's stepping up huge for his team. The problem is the rest of the team is struggling to match that output.
And even if the output is not the same in the fragging department, at least the scoreline is still in a 6-4. So those 16 frags that you see here from Genghsta, 4 of them came from 2 rounds ago as we were just casting it. So some big impact frags, but still making the game very close overall for these 2 teams. So you got to commend them for that. But that last round, it seems every time you're trying to rush towards this B side, it's just a kerfuffle. It's bloody. There's so many bloodshed happening towards that side, but now focusing on the A side, it's an eco for IMT. They have a perfect setup on the crossfire so far, but it's still going to be the utilities that continues to clear out the A side. Genghsta's stuck now, as we were just talking about him, towards the spawn side, but the spike is all the way down towards the Fender spawn. So now they have a crossfire set up here for Chemicals. I think he saw it. That's why he's staying towards spawn. And Moose is about to get contacted by Nature, who's down to now barely any HP. It's going to be very difficult for him to hold this crossfire, and that's it. 3 guys now chasing after him, Nature to fall. And we're moving into the last round of the first half, where LG are looking to secure an 8th, and Immortals looking to claw back to get a 5th.
Almost comical how long Nature was able to survive
Definitely.
there. Just constantly like slide left, and slide left, and slide left. Just trying to take the angle away over and over again and get a follow-up shot. Doesn't really work out so well. As we take a look out at the frozen wasteland just beyond the field of play. You can see how things have shaped up. Stellar, speaking of frozen wasteland, throwing down that ice and slow orb. The Sage currently sitting at the tops, 13-6-6 for LG. And Chemicals got an op. We've got one on the other side as well. One of the few rounds we've seen an op matchup here. Chemicals goes to change position just as the peak is about to come through. Unfortunate timing for Jet here on the defensive side of IMT.
A little bit of a surprise. A Proto trying to go on top of the Boiler to surprise an opponent, but at the same time, even if he got the kill onto Genghsta, Nature's right there. He sees the dash, he hears the dash, he's about to go for a huge backstab. This is good for Immortals right now to secure this last round. There you go, there's that backstab, but it gets traded right away, so a timing for both teams that still makes it a 1-man advantage for the Immortals, that they're looking for a plant for B, looking to play the pulse plant positioning, and you have even your boy Dre pushing forward into the site. He gets a kill onto Genghsta with that, and evens up the tally on a 3-3.
Shot comes out from the op, but it's off the mark. Your boy Dre sneaking past the wall and getting back on the other side.
Wow.
Quick kill coming out onto his counterpart, jcstani. Paranoia is in as well. The distance fight's working out for Moose. He'll find 2 quick kills to top off that 3K on the round. LG looking fantastic here in the first half. Look at the sporadic nature of rounds that IMT secured. It made that first half so much harder for them than it needed to be because they just couldn't get that money stable. Constantly having to force and go with SMGs, and LG, they just keep going with the aggression. Thief pushing up, spotting one early, making things so much harder as he takes down Shot Up, and they're not able to spot him there in that position. Could have been dangerous as Chemicals has to go up vertically inside the smoke. He loses track of his target. Nature is there with one at least. Thief is somehow still alive. What is even happening? But it's down to 1 anyway. It's okay. It's your boy Dre. 1-on-3 with a frenzy.
Spike down as well. You talked about charging. They did it on both ends. Thief getting the first kill, but then the charge right after to trade things off and securing this 3 versus 1 looks good for the Immortals. Your boy Dre now spotted at the screens, looks towards the back of the site, still looks healthy on the HP after this kill on jcstani. Still very doable at this point. Doesn't have any smokes anymore. He walks over the nanoswarm and doesn't shoot it down. So that means that's an opportunity to run that clock down even more. There's that nanoswarm to get popped, the first kill, but a perfect crossfire from Nature in the end. He wanted to choose the left or the right. It's gonna be the left one that has the frenzy that melts him down, and that's another pistol in the hands of Immortals. Again, every single pistol but one has been won by the Immortals throughout this whole series. So to still see this third map go 8-5 so far in favor of LG, it's still really good.
Yeah, IMT has been fantastic in the pistols.
Yep.
But LG just is kind of content to play without them. You know, they won the last map despite the pistol round failures that they've had throughout the series. And they're in a winning position currently with the lead sitting at 8-5. Now, they're not going to go for a force up here like they did the last time after the pistol round because that time things went a lot better for them. Shot Up picking off Stellar as the Jet, or the, the Sage just was not prepared for that one. The Jet now going vertical up on top of the bin. You've got Shot Up here in position, spotting out one more. A Proto does at least spill a little bit of blood. We've talked about his impressive and potent Sheriff play, and Thief has actually managed to sneak away. Oh, that's not exactly what you want to see. Dashes away thinking there's safety, but no, there's one on the other side as well. A Proto who scooped up a Vandal is at least trying to do a little bit more damage. Has managed to get the paint shell. I love that.
Yep. Take
it out of play. You've got 20 HP. You know you're not surviving. They're going to go on the hunt. They're going to look for you. So try and make do with the Sheriff. Could potentially squeeze a shot there underneath Tube, but I don't think you're going to necessarily see that peak.
It's close. They're not actually spotting it. Oh, he lands that shot with a nice flick, and it's going to be Nature in the end that secures that frag and secures the bag into the round. But I like it, as you mentioned before, Buck. Throw that Vandal out. You're going to have money no matter what into the next round. Hurt your opponent's economy too. And then also, not surviving into the next round means you're able to bring more bonus in, being 2,400 instead of just 1,000 credits into this third round. So you're happy with the final result. To be able to snipe down 2 players with a $800 investment of the Sheriff, you get 2 kills, you still may have your money in there, right? I talked about not doing math live on air. I kind of just did it now. But I think I'm definitely right this time.
It's always a dangerous game when you start getting into the math play. Look at these shock darts coming out from Moose. These ones go very far across the map, and they do some damage right off the bat.
Yep.
I don't see where that second dart landed. I think that one may have been off the mark, but the first one is right on the money as it connects and drops their Reyna a little bit lower, down to about 70 HP. Thief currently up in heaven. Locking down this position, though, is going to be the Killjoy. So that's going to make things a little bit more awkward and uncomfortable for the defensive side. jcstani spots out Thief, and the defense then has to get away. You can see a Proto bailing out, and look at the flank. Shot Up has this one coming through Tube. This could be multi-kill potential for Shot Up. It's all down to the timing. There's the first, catches one more with the bow out, and that pretty much wins them the round. It's down to a 2-on-4. Good luck to the players remaining on site.
Well, I was going to say, at least you have a Proto alive, but now it's just Stellar. That's 2 kills. The heal's already down. As he heals himself up, he's probably going to be at about 50, 60 HP. Not much to do at this point. Even 40 on top of that. And that's shot up with that big flank that we talked about before. That's a triple kill for him. And that's a big round for the lurk play, which we didn't see a lot for LG, at least on that first half when they took the attacker side. And this is also something that Immortal does a lot too. Going for the aggression for one side of the map and always having your lurk towards the boiler just to make sure that one, or they cut the rotations, or two, they go for the backstab. And that second option was that key play for Immortals to take that round. Thankfully, though, they had to use a lockdown on top of that just to make sure that he's able to get that backstab, so he might not be able to do it every single round. LG is going to have to be aware of those backstabs, though, as that might change the defense. Let's see how they adapt to that, and it starts off with a wall into 2 from Stellar.
Genghsta leading in with Aldrone over towards B. But behind the Aldrone is actually Nature. Genghsta's further away, scooping up the spike and starting to move in that general direction. Your boy Dre back behind Yellow. Holding on to a Sheriff. Chemicals does spot one out early. And kind of an interesting peek coming out from Thief, knowing that those shots came from above. I'm not sure if maybe he spotted it, wasn't aware, but your boy Dre at least will do some damage here over towards B, and a heal comes through as well. That's a weapon pickup for your boy Dre. And if he keeps moving forward, that could be quite pivotal for them. Now, Proto spots the jet out, but a nice tailwind to get away eliminates the possibility of that being successful. There's another Aldrone coming in as the zip line is ridden. You've got jcstani moving into position, and with the weakened firepower coming in for LG, it's no surprise that Immortals gets onto the site the way that they do. Down to 2, and with shot up position, that vertical aim always awkward, especially with a pistol. Stellar has to go to the SMG to connect on 1, swaps out to the rifle. Doesn't really even get a fighting chance against Chemicals. We're tied up, 8 apiece.
Economy is back now for LG, and there's where the operator comes out again. We talked about how LG, they don't really use an operator on the attacker side except for that one round where Thief actually had it and tried to fight versus Chemicals towards the A side. But this is where we're going to see if Thief has a better luck actually on the defender side now that he has the operator in his hands, and they have 4 ultimates to work with on the defender side. Same thing for the attacker side too. So this is going to be a very aggressive round of how they want to take over the site. It seems as though Immortals are leaning towards the B side first. It's not a lockdown that they're going to have to try to get in, so it's probably going to have to be I won't even think they're going to bring in the Blade Storms yet, because Immortals right now, they are on into this gun round. So it's just going to be, hey, let's try to scout out a couple of players here with the Owl Drone and see if we could take over a site towards B. And as they scout out towards Yellow, it's clear the Lear to come out at the same time, and LG are looking to play the retake.
There's shot up spotting a Proto who is stuck inside on the other side of that box. As they gain site control, Hunter's Fury doesn't really do much. Thief picks off 1. It's his counterpart with the Blade Storm. Looking to do more damage, flying into position with those knives, twirling, can't quite connect on that right click. Shot up and jcstani do drop though, as your boy Dre is still alive. And like you said, they do have the res, so numbers now flipped. And it's LG who are in great position. The alarm bot gives away your boy Dre's position and results in him being vulnerable, at least for the time being. He's trying to push further forward. He's found 3 on the round. Make it 4 for your boy Dre. Stellar has time to get the defuse as well. LG will take the round as it comes in just under a second, 0.68 on the clock. A big retake from LG.
That was very close for sure, because as we mentioned that Stellar had the res, he actually went for the res onto Thief, who has an operator, and you saw that he went for the right click before, therefore losing his Blade Storm, which means it's not a powerful weapon to come back to take the retake, where there was 2 other bodies around the corner that could have maybe helped out with the rifles that are on the ground. But thankfully, it is going to be your boy Dre that comes up with a 4K of his own, just like Genghsta did a few rounds ago onto this very map. So now Stella, he does have a bit of help into this defender side. Your boy Dre is starting to pop off here as an Omen out of all the agents, where we usually see Omen at the bottom of the board trying to do more of a utility type of play. But LG are looking to battle back here on the defender side. The trade didn't work out. I think he may have got a leg shot. There you go. He did connect to the Jet on the other side, but then it's still going to be the Vandal that wins in the end on the Immortals Jet. So Chemicals down to half HP. They're going to look to capitalize on that kill to work towards the A side.
Oh, that's unfortunate for your boy Dre. Has to now shadow step out of that position just to avoid what's coming that direction. Nice ult coming in from a Proto. No Rosa ults today as the rocket is right on the money. jcstani wants to go up further, uses the paranoia to lead in, and that is massive for Immortals. jcstani now continuing that push around the corner as Stellar tries to go for the swing to prevent the spike plant. It's ultimately Moose that stops it, but jcstani finishes off the 3K on the round. 9-9. How perfect. First map goes in favor of IMT, second map goes to LG, third map we are locked at 9 apiece.
Still continue to go back and forth, and when we say that they had a better round for LG, on their defender side versus Sentinels, it just comes to show how both of these teams look much stronger versus each other, at least, for Immortals versus LG on this map of Icebox. The thing is, the last time these two teams met together was a long time ago, and where they had two different rosters before, where I think even Icebox wasn't even out yet. So this is all brand new territory for both of these teams where, yes, they maybe studied some bonds, but never really went against each other into a tournament setting. So this is why I'm liking that we're seeing a 9-9. This is nail-biting for both of these teams where they really want to make it to that at least second place to secure this 10K for the prize pool that's available on top of the seeding that they got to move into Challengers Round 2. So this is really a really nice matchup for these two teams.
Moose gets caught by chemicals sneaking into a dark cover, thinking that maybe Moose would be the first one there and could be the one catching his opponent instead. Thief is going to go through. Nice shots from the Sheriff, but very low on HP. It is looking at least a little scary here for IMT at first, but they end up surviving, and jcstani gets another 3K. So his stats are starting to get padded out quite a bit for Immortals. We'll take a look at the scoreboard. Currently 16 and 13. Remember that gap between Genghsta and the rest of the team? Well, that's been closed. Genghsta at one point, I think, had 16 kills coming into the second half.
Yep.
So he was like 16-7. Now you've got 16, 16, 12, 11. Gangsta's kind of cooled off a little bit.
That's right. While he was like at 16 or something like that, everybody else still were at single digits in terms of the fragging
It's
department.
like 8 or 9, yeah.
So when you're looking now at how Immortals are trying to work towards his A side, it shows how coordinated they are to really engage into this trade. So you'll have to look at the amount of assists that these players currently have for IMT as well. But you could also say the same thing for LG. With the 4K that your boy Dre got up, with Stellar not being on the top of the board anymore as Sage, these guys are also doing their best in terms of defending, but it seems to me what's a little bit lacking so far is the impact that Thief currently has with this Operator or the Bladestorm. Not necessarily saying that it's the bad play or the bad composition that they have, but having a Jet into your comp, you really want to have her start getting those first bloods, especially due to the fact that you're an Operator on the defender side where you could technically take the upper hand with the angles versus your opponents.
Boombot. Back and forth. It's like that scene from Austin Powers, a movie too old for half the chat to remember.
100%.
When he's trying to K-turn in the car in the long tunnel. Now the nade comes through to try to cancel the ult. They have to use Hunter's Fury as well to kill it. So
it's a fake.
This is what we talked about. We talked about utilizing Hunter's Fury just to basically kill Nature's ult every single time, and it comes through again. Your boy Dre, the backstab shot onto shot up, like you said, it wasn't fake. Even though they used that ult towards A, they were actually intending to go towards B, but it doesn't seem like it's worked out so well for them, as LG has found multiple kills on the stop. It's down to jcstani, who's on 8 HP, and he's had a heroic performance the last couple of rounds. Multi-kills across all of them, but it's not going to matter here. 4 players survive for LG, as again, back to a tie score. Back and forth, these teams fight with that scoreboard currently locked at that even number.
Yeah. And it was a nice fake for Immortals. By putting that lockdown onto the ground, you forced out the paint shells and a Hunter's Fury from Proto and from Moose respectively, which means now, as they rotate back towards the A side, they break the lockdown and they try to come back into a B side that should technically be open. They have less utility to work with on that retake. So it came down to your boy Dre just dancing around that orange area at the B site to get that backstab kill onto Reyna for Immortals, on the Immortals from your boy Dre. Really made things a little bit more difficult for the attacker side to take the B site control as they were trying to look for Dre for that kill. And also he wasted enough time for the faster rotate for LG. So crucial kill. That was a round turning point for LG, for your boy Dre, as he continues to anchor down and play the B site very well. Immortals seeing a lot more success here on this A side. Wouldn't be surprised here with the spike being dropped at the A main with this lurk that they currently have to potentially end up at A again.
Thief. Up in hand, peeking towards long B. Nice shot, actually, over top of the box onto Genghsta. And off that kill, you're going to see Immortals go the opposite direction. Not wanting to force a fight with an op, knowing that they've got better chances at taking the A site anyway. The Empress will be utilized as well. The nade could come out from a proto to try and stop the plant. It's going to go out and do some damage to whoever is the one responsible for planting it. It's actually Reyna, who's now very low on HP, but let's not forget with Empress, a lot of self-heal available. Shop spots one around the corner, and that nade is instantly negated. jcstani with the kill onto Thief as well. The setup is really well placed here for Immortals on that A site. Stellar comes through, and it all falls apart. So they had too much presence over towards B early in the round for Immortals that when LG decides to pivot and head back towards A, it's free. There is no one there. They can set up for a solid post plant, and LG doesn't stand a chance of getting back in.
And you even saw from a Protoss point of view, though, when he actually threw those pain shells over the screen into the default spot where you get the plant, he had to look back towards Boiler. Remembering when we had a late lurk from Shot Up, maybe into the third round of the gun round here for them for the attacker side, it shows how much they're paying attention and are really afraid of not having enough map control for the retake. So that makes it less numbers for LG to try to take over the A side. And as they have to come in with less numbers, it's individual 1-versus-1 fights that doesn't come into their favor. Immortal stays into the site, and they're just holding their grounds on A side very well.
We've seen this play a couple of times where the smokes have worked out nicely for LG and for IMT. This time it favors LG, where we've seen a player hiding inside the smoke, waiting for that first target to come through. Here, Immortals has been reduced down to 2. LG utilizing that Sage utility as well to make it even harder to try to get out onto the site. Now, Nature's capable of picking off Thief.
Spike is stuck.
Maybe there's something here.
Last player standing.
Yeah, Spike almost got back across. You said it, Spike was stuck. It was pinned in that corner. Couldn't escape. Tried to. Dies in the end. And again, where are we at, Alex? Another tie score, 11-11. Overtime seeming very likely.
The thing is, it was still an expensive round there for LG to win. Actually, expensive round for both of these teams, too. This is going to be this series' turning point for these two teams. Whoever loses this round, that's 2,400 in bonus here for LG, which could have a decent buy, or 1,900 for Immortals, which would look like a small, broken, half-armor buy as well. And the ultimate points are slowly being built up, too. You have 2 players, one on each team, that are one away of getting the ult up. Blade Storm, potentially to be ready soon. But with that, though, you see how back and forth it is for both of these teams and how much of an impact Thief had with a Vandal instead of an Operator playing towards that A side. Will that change moving later on? Possibly.
It's a thing we've talked about before, this 5-rifle setup and how it works out for them. Chemicals, whose ult has at times been iffy. We'll just say iffy. Oh! Able to pick up a kill and Shot Up. Just absolutely destroys a proto. Again, the back and forth nature of this game results in a round win coming in for Immortals, 12-11. 1 round away from overtime, or 1 round away from seeing Immortals playing in the grand finals tomorrow. Again, we talked about it coming into this series. I don't think either of these teams would have been picked by most of the community as the teams that would be playing for a chance to make it into the grand finals. Incredible stuff that they're both here at this point.
It was such a crucial kill onto a proto. He had the paint shells, and he had a showstopper potentially for a retake. This round, though, from I looked at the scoreboard, we're 4-7 for Nature right now in terms of the Killjoy ult. I wouldn't be surprised if you're trying to get an orb on one side, then get the orb on the other side, potentially a kill for a post-plant Killjoy ult. But the thing is, what we have ready for LG is looking very good for the defender side. From that minimap, you could tell that they're looking to play like a retake towards B side, play it more passively, trying to keep the showstopper alive for the retakes, or at least for entry kills for the defenders, and also keeping Stellar very close in case they lose their raise at the beginning from a proto, and he could raise right away. Let's see how that's going to develop as Immortals looking to choose to work to where it was successful for them most of the times on the attacker side, which is going to be towards the A site.
Out of charges.
Both teams had greater luck towards A in general. B has been iffy at times, and we've seen some good B takes at the same point.
Oh
now
my
jcstani
God.
gets the ult off, somehow survives long enough to take out Moose. Thief is immediately there to make sure that doesn't last too much longer. Nature spots Thief inside the smoke, not sure if the barrel came through. There's the ult coming out, cancels the spike placement as well. Now Stellar has the heal and the ult available for Rez, so they want Stellar to stay alive. Desperately so. The heal is used on himself to keep him floating for a little while longer. Your boy Dre is right around the corner. There's dark cover down currently that allows Genghsta to get into this position. Spike will be planted, and it's retake time. Genghsta has to be careful as the smoke's about to fade. Start to peel back just a bit. Getting a better angle to watch them come out of spawn. Shot up from up top. Able to pick off a proto. Brings us to even strength. Here's the res coming out, what we were talking about. But it's an easy kill coming in for Shot Up. A follow-up as well. The dismiss is in. It's down to the one-on-one. Shot Up pops his ult. It's now Reyna with Empress Live, but only 6 bullets left in the mag against Stellar, who's going up top. He's currently above.
Oh,
no! His magazine runs dry! Oh my goodness! Stellar! Both players so dangerously close to running out of ammo. Stellar has the setup perfectly, but unfortunately, the mag runs dry, the HP's too high.